LiAngelo Ball is back in the news, but likely not for the reason he wants. After years of being out of the public eye and not playing any level of professional basketball, Lonzo seems to be the only one willing to tell him the truth of his situation.
Let's get to the G though.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like the opportunity is not going to be the same in the G League for him. Just because of his process and how long it's been, just being realistic.
Like
I'm his big brother. I gotta, tell him the truth. You know what I'm saying?
That.
I think his path is overseas.
Now, as a reminder, it's been 2 years since we've seen LiAngelo play after putting up just 4.6 points and 1.1 rebounds a game in 13 minutes. Now, LiAngelo is trying to tell you that if he's given another shot in the G League, he's going to make the most of it. But why in the world should we believe him? LiAngelo Ball, for all the hype he was given, was doomed from the start. And it wasn't due to some stolen bags in China or a stupid league his dad created. LiAngelo's not playing basketball right now because the guy simply can't play.
Like your brother a 6'8" point guard, your other brother a 6'6" point guard, and you 6'5", and you a power forward.
On me.
Something missing, like, you know what I mean?
LiAngelo Ball's journey through the basketball world has been a roller coaster ride of highs and lows, with his name often being associated with his more famous brothers. Back in 2015, the Ball family was everywhere, and it felt like you couldn't be a fan of basketball without hearing about the brothers dominating in high school, and for good reason. It wasn't every day that you saw three brothers playing together on the same team and absolutely destroying their competition, forming what could have very well been the greatest high school team to ever play. This team had very defined roles on the roster that allowed them to find some ridiculous levels of success at the high school level. Out of the three, LiAngelo had the most imposing frame, using his strength to bully defenders and score at will, whether it was posting up or bullying people on breaks after picking cherries. LiAngelo was actually the leading scorer, averaging 27 when playing alongside his two brothers, then over 30 when playing solely with LaMelo. Despite the hype and physical tools, LiAngelo was always playing catch-up when it came to talent recognition. Unlike his brothers, who were highly touted as top prospects, LiAngelo ended up as a 3-star ranking and not the same level of attention, while Lonzo Ball and even LaMelo Ball before his growth spurt were 5-star D1 recruits. LiAngelo never got near the same love, as LaMelo was the younger brother who was lighting up highlight reels and garnering attention for his sky-high potential, and Lonzo was an all-around dominating freak with ridiculous playmaking ability at the high school level. LiAngelo certainly had some middle child syndrome going on. I mean, LiAngelo was the leading scorer on this team, but honestly, his role was so fucking stupid. Playing essentially zero defense, then casting up as many three balls as quickly as you can. I mean, this style of play taught him nothing about real system basketball, while teammates Lonzo, LaMelo, and even Onyeka Okongwu played legitimate roles, and unsurprisingly, all ended up lottery picks. The team, although insanely effective of course, had the most simple and unrepeatable game plan possible. They would hide LiAngelo and LaMelo in a full court trap, funneling shots to their NBA level anchor, while Eli, Scott, and Lonzo swarmed for steals to further feed LiAngelo. In the meantime, LiAngelo, whose only real hope to be viable at the NBA level is not only to be capable, but to be a great defender, was left getting burned by high schoolers in the front lines of their full court trap. In the half court, they would either run a high pick and roll with Alonzo and Okongwu, or feed LiAngelo in the low post. That was literally the entirety of their half court sets, if you want to call it that. And in either case, if the ball ended up in LiAngelo's hands, there was basically a 100% chance that he was throwing that thing up. He would go on to commit to UCLA, eager to prove himself and follow in his brother's footsteps, but unfortunately, his time at UCLA was brief and disastrous. During UCLA's preseason international tour in China, LiAngelo infamously with his two teammates were caught stealing Louis Vuitton sunglasses. A move that not only led to a 1-year suspension, but nearly landed them in Chinese jail. The incident caused an international stir, with even President Donald Trump getting involved to help secure their release. LiAngelo's college career was essentially over before it even started, and he returned home to face the fallout. Many point to this being the point that hindered LiAngelo's development beyond repair, and really, that's pretty fair. The best way to develop your game for the NBA, for American players at least, is to just play in college. G League Ignite was a total flop, and honestly, G League basketball altogether is a league of pretty shitty ball of dudes just trying to get paid. And Jello fumbled his best opportunity. Not willing to sit on the sidelines for a full year, LiAngelo decided to join LaMelo in Lithuania, hoping that playing professionally in Europe would boost his chances of being drafted in 2018. However, things didn't go as planned. Jello suffered some injuries and despite his efforts went undrafted. Jello really did not thrive in the way that fans hoped playing overseas, and this was where the downfall of LiAngelo Ball was in full swing. While playing in Europe, LiAngelo was expected to thrive compared to LaMelo. I mean, Melo was still a kid, he couldn't play that well against grown men, and Jello really did have grown man strength while having the best looking jump shot in the family. So at the very least, the hope was that LiAngelo could be a good role player amongst professional basketball players, but sadly, this wasn't really the case. LiAngelo put up an incredibly inconsistent 12 a night. I mean, the only real major highlights from the season would come from Triple B sponsored events, while seemingly every other game, LiAngelo would go scoreless. The Lithuania disaster would end as LeVar would pull his kids from the team due to disagreements with the coaching staff. And this was where LiAngelo's basketball career would go from complicated to laughable. LeVar's introduction to the JBA was about the dumbest scam I've ever seen in my life. A league that conveniently fit the age range to allow both of his sons to play, while putting up comically high stats in every statistical category, while fulfilling none of the promises made to any of the players involved. Jello would go on to win the league's MVP, which basically means as much as winning class president in 3rd grade. He would basically be playing LA Fitness basketball, pulling 50 shots per game, while his dad is not just a coach, but the damn creator of the league. I mean, Lithuania and the JBA was clearly not what was best for the boys. Jello and Melo were receiving hate and doubt at all-time highs during their times there. Where their stories diverge is that LaMelo was able to free himself from the grasp of LeVar. If you remember, Melo actually fell out of the top prospect rankings entirely after leaving Chino Hills, and it wasn't until playing for Spire Academy that he got his wheels back on track before becoming a top recruit once again. LiAngelo, on the other hand, was forced to retreat back to the lab, where with LeVar he would train and pray for a chance to sniff an NBA roster in any way, shape, or form. In the years that followed, Jello focused on training, determined to earn an NBA contract. His opportunity came when he joined the Charlotte Hornets G League affiliate. Early on, he showed flashes of promise, including a standout 26-point performance featuring 6 3 balls to open the season. For a brief moment, the idea of him being the best shooter in the Ball family didn't seem so far-fetched. With his strong player build and fluid shooting stroke, he appeared to have the tools to be a coveted 3-and-D player in today's NBA. Unfortunately, this was just hopeful thinking. His early success was short-lived. Jello's consistency evaporated, and his shooting percentages plummeted, finishing in his final games with the Swarm at just 39% from the field. These struggles ultimately led him to being waived from the G League, potentially marking the end of his NBA dreams. At 26 years old at this point, yeah, we're getting old, aren't we? Jello just doesn't have a real shot anymore, let's be honest. Jello was blasted to a national spotlight due to his spot in the family more so than his game being very interesting. And really, given his situation, being bored into a fat load of money and attention he didn't earn, it's hard to imagine that Jello had the hunger needed to make something of himself. I mean, getting called a 6'5" power forward by Jeff Teague is funny, of course, and there's truth to this, but as a guy who can shoot the ball, is gonna have a bit of nepotism, was this really the death of his NBA chance? Being built like LeVar certainly didn't help with basketball, we all know that. But what do guys like David Roddy have that Jello doesn't? If you can shoot the ball like this kid, you have a shot. The truth about LiAngelo Ball is that due to his actions, his lack of ability to play legitimate basketball roles, and his development always being tied to whatever BS the Ball family was up to at the time, ultimately was what led to his inability to get over the hump. Like Julian Newman, Jello's basketball legacy is strictly sticking to the YouTube reels. Check out that video here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.